Hi everyone, Mark Kwok here. Today I want to do a question and answer because I want to commemorate 5K subscribers. Honestly, I started this thing a couple years ago just to have something to do during the pandemic. And the fact that we're here, I just want to thank every single one of you guys. You can tell my channel, I'm not trying to get a bunch of subscribers and work the algorithm, but even then, people still continue to watch, so I just want to thank you so much. But let's get into some Q&A because I did get some questions and I want to answer them for you guys here. So without further ado, let's go. First question from Thomas. What are your favorite 3 brands for the following? Money no object. Cars, clothing, shoes, watches, and electronics. Okay, so it's a big question and that's why I put it first. But let's go one by one, all right? Cars, money no object. We're talking Aston Martin because I love James Bond. 2, Tesla because they're changing how cars are being made. And 3, I think I've always wanted a Range Rover. It's expensive, but I've always wanted one. So probably Land Rover is the 3rd one here. All right, clothing. One of my very favorite brands is Brunello Cucinelli. You can't afford most of the pieces. I mean, they overcharge like crazy, but I can't deny the quality of the material, the softness of it, awesome quality and so on. So Brunello Cucinelli, Loro Piana, who makes a lot of amazing fabrics and they have their own clothing line, I would say is number 2. And then Tom Ford, of course. I think all 3 kind of enable the same type of thing, super luxe, super high quality, but you would never know it's from a brand, right? They don't have any branding on them and stuff. So Brunello Cucinelli, Loro Piana, Tom Ford. Shoes, dress shoes, Crockett & Jones is my go-to. Nike for anything that's, running or sports. And then Common Projects probably for any sort of and I've talked about Common Projects in a video before as well. Watches, Patek Philippe, I mean, that's probably my favorite. Vacheron Constantin, and then Rolex, because obviously you guys know that I love Rolex. And then electronics, I mean, I'm an Apple fanboy. I mean, this is no joke. I mean, we all know this. So Apple, I'd say Dyson is another one because they just everything they make. I have their fan and I have their, hair dryer thingy. I have their vacuum. So I would say Dyson is the other, and then Sennheiser because I love audio and you guys already know that. All right, so that was a long first question, but thanks for asking, Thomas. Let's get into another question here. So from Abdelhamid, how to get started and where to buy my first watch. So he asked this in response to my watch video. But I would say this, all right? I think it depends entirely on your budget. If you have 30 or 40 bucks to spend, I mean, you're not gonna be able to get into the Rolexes and stuff, right? So let's start with a Timex. Let's start with a Casio. I mean, G-Shocks, these sort of watches are appreciated by all. They do great at what they're supposed to do. So find a design you like, buy a Timex or a Casio. But if you do have a little bit more money, let's say you wanna get into automatics, on the low end, I mean, I started with an Orient. I think that's one that a lot of people start with. And Seiko. I mean, Seiko is the king of budget. Some Seikos are pretty expensive, but you can get into it pretty cheap and they're gonna be high quality. And the brand name is, it's been around for so long, an incredible company. And then if you're gonna go and you have a lot of money and then you wanna splurge on that that watch that you may keep for the rest of your life, just like everyone else, I'd say it's probably Omega and Rolex. And then if it's not quite, you don't like the doing the typical, then the big brand that everyone kind of recommends in that price range a little less is Nomos it's a company from Germany. But I love Nomos design, so that's another one as well. Question from Tony, could you do a shoe collection video? And also Benjamin asked, can you review briefcases, please? So I do get a couple of these things where it's hey, can you try reviewing something that I haven't reviewed already? 100%. Shoe collection, it's coming. I have too many. I don't know, it might take forever to do it, but it's just because there's so many shoes, but I will definitely get that going. And then briefcases, I'm not a huge briefcase guy. I might do a backpack video because it's more practical, and just being in San Francisco, you end up doing a little more practical stuff like that. So maybe a briefcase / backpack type of video. I'll definitely go for one of those as well. Vladislav asked, do you know Rameau brand and what do you think about it? Of course, I know Rameau. when you're talking about luggage on the high end, you're talking about Rameau, right? I think they're part of LVMH, so Louis Vuitton's group. Iconic look, right? Generally in some sort of metal, aluminum, that kind of like gray metal is probably the most common one. Amazing looking suitcases and super luxe. I actually do own a Rameau carry-on, so surprise. But I will say I haven't done a video on it, and the main reason is because I'm very mixed on whether it's a good product or not. I do travel a decent amount, and my Rameau suitcase is the one that probably I have the most frustration with. And it's not because it breaks or anything like that. It's just very rigid. Like you can't fit a lot in a lot of these things. And so just to like even close it alone is rough. But love, hate, I'd say maybe I'll do a video on it, or like it'll be part of like some sort of video. Not like specifically a Rameau video, I think, but I like it, but I have some problems with it too. All right, Indica Lacan, hope I got that right. Said, I love a video of your prioritization of finer things. What items have the biggest impact on your day that you should invest in before getting other things? And so I can make a video on this for sure. You know, like if it's a request, for sure. Let me think about what I can bring to it. I think a sneak peek to it is, you know, I obviously vouch for getting higher end things and getting the finer things in life. But I will say, as far as impact, it's pretty simple. What do you use the most? Like whatever you use the most in a given day, I think that changes for all different types of people. I drink a lot of coffee. I love to make great coffee, so everything involved in the coffee process, if it's a little bit more premium, that makes a big difference in my day every day, right? Some people don't drink coffee, so that would make no sense at all, right? So whatever it is that you find yourself doing on a regular basis, right? Like I listen to a lot of music, so for me, like headphones, stereo, speakers, like this sort of stuff, like if the quality's not there, I'm not gonna feel great about it like all the time. And so for me, to upgrade that makes a lot more sense than to upgrade maybe a couple pieces of clothing that I rarely wear. So that's a sneak peek to it all, but maybe I can get a little bit more specific on that. Edward asks, laptop or iPad with a Logitech keyboard for portable computing? So my iPad video has like been my most popular video, and I mean obviously I love iPads, and I think it's like something I use quite often. I take this with me all the time for travel. It's like, you know, I use it in my bed, etc., etc. But I will say, if you're talking about computing, you're talking about doing everything, I personally would go with a MacBook Pro or MacBook instead. The truth is, like, for things I do audio editing, video editing, Photoshop, etc. These things, like, you can do it on here, but like you're really taking a couple steps to do it, and it's a different type of workflow that I'm not that comfortable with. So having a laptop just is like a sigh of relief. I'm like, oh, okay, now I can work. And so if you don't do any of that stuff, if it's quite simple, it's like web browsing and watching videos, and like that really comes down to it, I would choose the iPad. But I would say generally, if you do anything beyond that, I would recommend getting a smaller, maybe a 13-inch laptop. I mean, honestly, like iPads and 13-inch laptops are about the same size these days anyway, so that's what I would go for. So Aditya asks, what reference is your Patek? So it is true, I do have a Patek Philippe watch. This was kind of the thing that I was hoping to like keep a private or secret or whatever, because I'm not that comfortable talking about it, because it's you know, it's an expensive thing. It's a very, very expensive thing. But this is my Patek Philippe. It's a dress watch, beautiful, I think. Annual calendar, the 5396G. Love it. It's actually part of like my wedding. There's, you know, families involved to get this for me, so there's a lot of sentimental value to this. So even if like one day I could upgrade to even something better, I'd rather just keep this guy, because honestly, like I can't ask for more, right? It is from a brand that I love and that I have like lusted after for so long. It is a beautiful classic design, and it's like a perfect size, and just like all of it's so good. I don't have a dress watch. I mean, like it fits right in like it's perfect. All right, and last question from Natalie. What's a big purchase you're considering now? So I don't have a big material purchase that I'm considering, but there are two big life things happening for me, I think. The first is I'm probably getting a dog, and a dog is going to be expensive, so gotta keep some money for that. And then I also am gonna be moving out of San Francisco. So as I move, you guys know, anytime you move, it's like dollars and dollars and so on, just because you get another place, you gotta get movers, maybe you need some new furniture, you gotta replace furniture, etc. So that's on my horizon. Nothing like material per se, which I'm sure is not that exciting for you guys, but that's what's happening in my life. So I did want to let you guys know. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope I answered some of your questions. Let me know if you have more questions for sure. I'll do another one of these, or maybe I can just answer in the comments. But again, my name is Mark Kwok. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.